Hello, my name is John Turner. I'm the Manager of Community Development and Research at the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority, also known as NIFA. The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as the CARES Act, is a $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill passed by Congress and signed into law by President Trump on March 27, 2020, in response to the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. NIFA is conducting interviews with Nebraska agencies who are the recipients of this funding and providing housing resources. Some programs are required to allocate all funding by December 30th, 2020, while others have 2 years to allocate funds. Understanding the timing of this funding and the numerous people in Nebraska that need help, NIFA wants to share these valuable resources via our social media platforms. Today, we are joined by Michelle Martinez, Director of Community Services at Community Action Partnership of Lancaster and Saunders counties, to talk about a new program that provides rent and utility assistance in their coverage area. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, John. How are you?
Very good. Thanks a lot for taking the time today to talk about your programs.
Absolutely.
So I think, the nice thing to start with is if you could just tell everyone a little bit about what your agency does and your role.
Absolutely. So community action, was really born out of the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964. Our mission is to empower people living in poverty to reach economic stability. We offer 17 programs that address the causes and conditions of poverty in 4 impact areas. And those are early childhood education, homelessness prevention, financial and family well-being, and hunger relief and healthy food access. In 2019, we served over 20,000 individuals within our service area of Lancaster and Saunders counties. I am the Director of Community Services, so I oversee the programs in the homeless prevention as well as hunger relief.
Very good. And I always like to mention, if I have a connection to the people that I'm interviewing, but the fact that Michelle and I worked together when there was the American Recovery Reinvestment Act stimulus dollars called the Homelessness Prevention Rapid Rehousing Program from 2009 to 2012, and we were busy for those 3 years.
Oh, yes, we were very busy during that time, especially you.
It was a great partnership, and I often reflect on that when I look at these CARES dollars, which have come to throughout the country. But can you talk now about how the CARES Act funding that you received, how is that going to expand what you currently have?
Well, John, Community Action has been very fortunate to receive various streams of CARES funding that have built our capacity to modify our program operations to allow for social distancing and offer new and enhanced existing services. So some of the things we really focused on is to increase our capacity to provide rent and utility assistance, including those whose financial situations have been impacted by COVID. We've also looked at providing a greater level of basic needs supports, such as food and personal care supplies, and also to make necessary modifications to physical spaces within our building to really align with the recommendations that we're receiving from our local health experts.
Okay. And in my intro, I always, mention that some people have to spend money by the end of the year. And so we've been trying to get those videos up quickly so people know that the resource. You actually have 2 kind of pots of money, right? Some that has to be spent, and then some you have a little bit more time.
Yes, so, several of our funding sources, they do need to be spent by December 30th. But we also have funding sources such as the Nebraska Homeless Assistance Program. We received additional funding for our Saunders County and rural Lancaster County, and that funding is 2-year funding, so it will go through August 30th, 2022. The exciting thing about that is that's offering us the opportunity to open another office. So for years, we've had an office in Wahoo, but we've never really had that public office in rural Lancaster. So we're looking at opening an additional office. We're looking at the Hickman area for that. So that will be great to be in that community have someone that those in need in that community know who to go to, and really to make sure that they know that they have access to those funds.
Yeah, it's nice that you have that blend of urban and rural. It doesn't seem like
Yes.
that happens a lot where one agency works in both. And it's, both have such needs, but they're different. And sometimes in rural Nebraska, you might kind of be in a position where you're offering the majority of resources for people.
Mhm.
One of the things that I'm hearing a lot about is how important landlords are right now to the population. One, we need a place for people to go, but two, that are reaching out and tenants know how to get help. And can you talk about the work that Community Action, I almost called you Lincoln Action Program, that dates me, um, how you are working with landlords, how do you build those relationships, your experiences with that?
Yeah. We do have a strong base of landlords that we work with frequently, and I apologize, there's a fire truck going by.
Hey, it
We,
happens.
yes, we do have a solid base of landlords that we work with frequently, but now more than ever, the need to build those partnerships with additional landlords is really vital, particularly in the rural areas. Finding housing sometimes can be a struggle. And so, we're always reaching out to new landlords. You just never know where that connection's where you're going to find that connection. And so just the constant outreach in the community, reaching out. If we have someone that applies for assistance and maybe it's a landlord we've never worked with before, we're going to go out of our way to make sure that we have that connection, that we talk about our program, and that we really encourage them to partner with us so that we can continually build that. Through our tenant support program, we really work on those relationships as well. The Homeless Coalition is doing great work around landlords and those partnerships with landlords. And so, the great thing about our community is that we all work together.
Yeah.
And we come together, particularly in times like this, to make sure that every person that comes through any of our agencies is receiving those services. Our coordinated entry is a perfect example of that. So those relationships with landlords, we will continue, to try and build as we work through this.
Yeah, and NIFA did do a webinar on coordinated entry because that is something I feel like everyone should know about, how when you're addressing homelessness prevention and ending homelessness, you have to work as a group. And I mean, you've been working with that rent and utility assistance network ever since the program ended that we talked about earlier, which brings utility companies and agencies that provide that assistance, which it's like we talk about how all of our oars should be going in the right direction, that we're all working together towards helping people.
Yeah, the rent, utility network, it's been about 12 years now. And I facilitate that meeting monthly, and we have just seen such a growth in the participation, not only from rent and utility providers, but from other partners such as DHHS. And yes, the utility companies are at that meeting monthly. And so it really is, it's a great opportunity to come together, talk about the needs in the community, talk about how we can work together. Um, and it is a perfect example of those collaborations and those partnerships.
Yeah, and the other thing that's great about the work that you do is the competency of your staff that are screening people and assessing them for services and which program they go into. And I know that you get flooded with calls. So that coordinated entry kind of shares that burden. So it's not just community action trying to take on everything. I don't know, you have any thoughts you want to share about the flood that tends
You
to
know,
happen?
the need in the community is at an unprecedented level. It absolutely is. We're receiving more calls for assistance now than ever before. And I would agree wholeheartedly with you that we do have amazing staff. We have staff that have been here with real longevity and know the resources in the community. And really going back to those partnerships, we have partnerships between, the rent utility providers. So we're able to work together. And I think that is a real vital part of this. But yes, the number of requests we're receiving right now is at its highest level. So, we can receive 300 to 500 requests a week, depending on the week. So, trying to get to as many households as we can and serve the highest need first. So we're really focusing with the utilities on those that are in disconnect or the service has been turned off, really trying to get to those households first. So yes, everyone's very busy.
Yes, and you also have the position of, I can't remember the title, but NIFA's position that works with interventions with landlords. So you kind of have finance, but then also that kind of you can communicate with the landlord to try to do some, I guess, mediation is the best word I can come up with. But
yes, our tenant support services,
yes,
a lot of what we do is mediation, particularly during this time. Households are struggling to pay their rent. So how can we mediate between the landlord and the tenant to work out an agreement? And we also deal with other issues as far as understanding what a notice actually means. I've received a 3-day notice. What does that mean? And what are my rights? So we do a lot of education, a lot of mediation.
yeah, that's great. So important, especially now. Is there any other points that we haven't talked about with the CARES dollars? I mean, I guess what is the best way to reach out to community action? Is it through website? Do you want to say your web address? And
Absolutely. So our website is www.communityactionatwork.org, or they can certainly call our main office at 210 O Street. That number is 402-471-4515. Residents of Saunders County and rural Lancaster County can also call 402-277-7330. And I would encourage everyone to reach out. There are so many various funding sources available currently that even for those that have never had to seek assistance before, they don't know if they're qualified, reach out to us. Let's talk about your situation. Let's talk about what funding might be available. We are seeing so many new households right now, those that have never had to seek assistance before, and we just want to let them know that we're here for them.
very good. Yeah, well, I appreciate the work that you're doing and that you've always done. And thank you so much for helping Lincoln and Saunders and rural Lancaster, which, like I said, not a lot of agencies can do both urban and rural. So thank you so much, Michelle. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Have a great day.